Good day. Welcome to another episode of Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Let's not waste no more time. So, there are a lot of players who never won a championship, who are great players who never won a championship. The ones that come to mind are Charles Barkley, Elgin Baylor, Tracy McGrady, Allen Iverson, great players who never won a championship, okay? But I would just say the two players that I really wanted to see get one were Malone and Stockton, okay? And yes, I wanted to see Malone and Stockton get one, just not against the Bulls, okay? Just not against the Bulls, okay? But, yeah, I really wanted to see Malone and Stockton get one. And, it's like I said, videos ago, you're really happy that back then they didn't win it, but as you get older, and as you get older and you look back at what they accomplished, you say to yourself, yeah, I really wanted to see them get one. And I really wanted to see Malone and Stockton get one. Just not against the Bulls, okay? So, Stockton was drafted in 84. Malone was drafted the next year in 85. So 85, 86 was their first season together. And then by 1988, they were one of the best duos in the game. They came close to making the NBA Finals against the Bulls in 1992, okay? They went to the Western Conference Finals in 1992 versus the Trailblazers and lost in 6 games. And in Game 6, Terry Porter had 41 points in Game 6 to close out the Utah Jazz in the Delta Center. So that was the first close call. 1994, they made it back to the Western Conference Finals against the Houston Rockets. The Rockets easily brushed them aside 4-1. Then in 1996, they made it back to the Western Conference Finals, only to lose in 7 games versus the Seattle Supersonics, who went on to play the Bulls, okay? So it could have been Utah versus Chicago, 1992. Utah versus Chicago, 1996, Part 2. 1997 would have been Utah versus Chicago, Part 3. 1998 would have been Utah versus Chicago, Part 4. Okay. Problem is, the Portland Trailblazers and the Houston Rockets got in their way. Okay. And the Seattle Supersonics, too. So the Blazers, the Rockets, and the Sonics got in their way every time. Okay. So, the Utah Jazz began to surround them, Malone and Stockton, with the players that they needed, slowly but surely. Jeff Hornacek came along, Greg Ostertag came along, Brian Russell came along, Howard Eisley, Antoine Carr, Greg Foster. So Utah began to surround them with hard-working players. And that's what Utah basically was. Utah was the lunch pail team of the NBA. Hard hat lunch bucket of the NBA. Okay? Hard hat lunch bucket of the NBA, the Utah Jazz were. And anybody who knows Coach Sloan, rest in peace. Anybody knows Coach Sloan was all about, Coach Jerry Sloan was all about hard work and competing. Okay. Those were Jerry Sloan's two main things: hard work and competing. Okay. And so you had the ultimate hard worker in Karl Malone. You had the ultimate durable guy in John Stockton. And then you had all these good role players bringing up the rear. And Jeff Hornacek and Brian Russell and so on. So in 1997, they finally broke through when Stockton hit the game winner versus Houston. Okay. And game one of the NBA Finals came down to what I call the Fatal 2. Okay. And the previous video, I mentioned Nick Anderson at the Fatal 4. Okay. Well, the game was tied at 82 in game one, and Malone was fouled by Rodman. Malone went to the foul line, missed the shot, then got a second one. That's the famous, that was the game where Scottie Pippen told Malone, the mailman doesn't deliver on Sunday. Okay. And so Bill Walton, you know, broadcasters, they see everything. So Bill Walton noticed as Malone was shooting his free throws, he was sort of like fading back when he was shooting his free throws. So he missed both. Jordan hits the game winner. And so that pretty much set the tone for the series. Now Malone did have 38 points in game 3. Scored the game-winning layup in game 4. But ultimately it was Jordan who took control, and the Jazz lost in 6 games. Came back the next year. This time the series began in Utah. Utah won game 1 in overtime. And but that's when Chicago really clamped down. That's when Chicago really clamped down on Utah, taking the next 3 games. And I remember Jackie McMullen. She was she covered the Celtics. Okay, she covered the Celtics at the time, and she said, back in 2004, she said the Jazz won game 1, and they thought they had the Bulls figured out. But it wasn't like motivating. Okay, let me just say this. Okay, if you figure out great teams in the NBA, okay, if you figure out championship teams, great teams in the NBA, they're gonna find a way to adjust, and then they're gonna make you figure them out again. Okay, and that's what the Bulls did. Okay, you heard what Jackie McMullen said. They thought they had the Bulls figured out. Okay. Yeah, try telling that to Michael Jordan. Try telling that to Michael Jordan. You think you got them figured out, but you really don't. Okay. And just when you think you have them figured out, they make adjustments that leave you scratching your head like, thought I had this. I thought I had these guys figured out. Nonetheless, the Bulls took a 3-1 lead. And the Jazz were able to win game 5 behind 38 from Malone. And of course, they go back to Utah for game 6. Jordan hits the game winner. Stockton misses. And Bulls win their 6th championship. And I thought the very best chance for Utah to get it was the lockout season in 1999. I thought that was their absolute best chance to get it, because Jordan was gone. It was a shortened season. And I thought 98, 99 was the best chance for Utah. Was the absolute best chance and the absolute last chance. Um, so they make it to the second round where they got kicked out by the Portland Trailblazers. Okay, and I believe if the Jazz were able to make it past the Blazers, they probably still would have ran into the younger but veteran San Antonio Spurs team, who had Duncan and Rob Robinson, Avery Johnson, Sean Elliott. Um, so, but still, I feel 98, 99 was Utah's best chance, and they almost lost to Sacramento, but after the 98, 99 season, that was pretty much it. Okay, and I really wanted to see Stockton get hit one. Um, but he retired in 2003 without one. Now, Karl Malone actually had one last chance, though, when he signed with the Lakers after the 2003 season. And he could have stayed in Utah. You know, after Stockton retired, he could have stayed in Utah. Being surrounded by guys like Deshaun Stevenson, Andre Kirilenko, those guys. But he chose to go a different route. Signed with the Lakers, and 2004 was the first time that he missed significant time during the regular season, because he had been pretty durable throughout his 17, 18 years in the league. He had been pretty durable, but 2004 was the first time he missed extended action when he injured his knee. Okay, and he came back for the playoffs and made it back to the NBA Finals. And Derek Fisher was talking about this a few years ago. He said Karl Malone, out of all the people, really deserved to get that one. Okay, he really deserved to get that one. And looking back on that, he did. Karl Malone really deserved to get one. He took a massive pay cut to come to the Lakers. He had played 17, 18 years without getting a title. But Derek Fisher talked about this years ago. He said Karl Malone really deserved to get one. But Karl Malone was injured again. He got injured again during the NBA Finals, and couldn't go. And Derek Fisher said that the Pistons basically swept him off the floor. Okay, in other words, what he was saying was, the one game that the Lakers did win was luck. When Kobe Bryant hit a 3 to send the game into overtime, game 2. Okay, and so yeah, I really wanted to see Stockton get one. Really wanted to see Malone get one. And looking back on it, feel kind of bad, man. You feel kind of bad that they didn't get one. And it's just unfortunate that they went down with the list of guys that never won a championship. Barkley, Malone and Stockton, Iverson, Tracy McGrady. Yeah, I would say probably the most painful was Tracy McGrady, because he had got signed by the Spurs. The first time the Miami Heat played the Spurs. Okay, and if you remember, if it wasn't for that Ray Allen 3, Tracy McGrady would have been the NBA champion. Okay. But yeah. I really wanted to see Malone and Stockton get one, but life in the NBA has a lot of suffering. Okay. And just unfortunate, man. Just unfortunate, but still doesn't take away from the fact that they were great players. All right. That's it. That's all for Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. God bless you all. I'm out of here. See y'all on the next one. Peace.